Welcome back for another video. For the last time this season, who are the best players to buy for Gameweek 38? We're going to cover all players, the ones that are big upside, the sensible picks, all positions. Let's get into it. So we'll do a short and sweet goalkeepers segment first, which I guess will help gauge which teams are looking promising for a clean sheet as well in the final leg. Some of you might have a perfect 11 and you're genuinely looking at a keeper transfer, or maybe you're on a Gameweek 38 free hit or wildcard. The standout fixtures are Bournemouth home to Leicester, Newcastle home to Everton, and Arsenal away to Southampton, which does have Kepa, Pope and Raya the top three. At this point, it's all for 1 week, and the margins and the projections here are really tight that you can truly just go with your preference. Whatever the outcome, it was that close between them. 0.1 projected points is just noise and data essentially. It's only really over the longer ranges that we start to see bigger gaps and how players are projected to perform that's worth paying attention to more. And that means there's so many fun picks on the cards this week. But yeah, as far as the top three keepers here, Pope's the only one that's really got the most on the line, right? It's Champions League places going down to the wire. Arsenal have qualified already, should finish second. Bournemouth have got a very small chance if other results go in their favour. Defenders next then, and it's Bournemouth and Newcastle defenders really. It's Kirkes and Schär joint top of all defenders. Arsenal are of course favoured for a clean sheet as well, but we've got Lewis Skelly potentially left back, who's a mid in FPL. We've got Timber or White and right back, which is unclear. Now we've got Saliba yellow flagged, so it's just Kiwior here for Arsenal. So what's the latest on Saliba after being taken off for half time against Newcastle? Arteta said the following: "I think he felt something in his hamstring in the first half unfortunately, so we had to make the substitution." If you've got him, keep him of course and play him. He'll either start or not play at all, you'd expect. Unless he is ruled out later in the week in the Gameweek 38 press conference, then you could consider selling him. It can't have been too serious to make it to half time rather than going down during the game and having to go off earlier. So yeah, it's Kirkes joint top. I actually prefer him to Schär, but both are great really. It could be his farewell game potentially, and they'll have slightly better clean sheet odds you'd imagine home to Leicester. That said, if Everton are without Tarkowski and Branthwaite in Gameweek 38, then that could spell opportunities for Schär and Burn off set pieces. That said, Keane and O'Brien are obviously big lads if they do end up being the centre-back pairing. But yeah, O'Brien and Keane, they actually haven't won as high a percentage duels as the other two. Branthwaite's 59.2% won isn't that far ahead of the other two, but Tarkowski's 75.6% is crazy high. That's highest of all defenders that have played 10 plus games. Another huge threat on set pieces is Howson, and if he starts then that's going to be his last ever game for Bournemouth. You'd imagine it'll be he and Zabani as the centre-back pairing for that final game. Speaking of farewell games then, what about Trent? He's one of those that could be a really fun pick if there's a leak that he starts, otherwise it just feels far too risky really. Given that there is 10 games kicking off simultaneously, it could be a hectic final deadline stream for early team news especially, so yeah, hit subscribe so you don't miss that if nothing else. Every piece of news we get will be covered. Vardiel doesn't make the table, he's on 3.4 points, he was actually tied with Trent. Perfectly fine to be playing him. Konsa's on 3.2, Kukurea 3.2 as well, Wan-Bissaka 3.1. Midfielders next then, and this is where there's some real points on the table. It's an interesting table as well in the sense that there's loads of names here who we know are absolutely class on their day, but they have disappointed recently. We've got Salah top on 6.9, Saka 6.2, Clive at 5.9, Palmer 5.8. None of those four have done anything of note lately, have they? Palmer and Salah are literally the only ones that ever returned in the last 4 games between those 4 players, with 1 goal each. We're recording this before Salah and Clive have played in Gameweek 37 of course. It's the grand finale to the greatest FPL season we've ever seen for Salah. 332 points, that's 29 more than the original record, which of course he set himself. He'll be desperate to finish on a high though, and potentially grab the all-time goal contributions record. The Bournemouth mids are a real debate this week. Clive obviously has got the penalties, but his minutes have been terrible recently. 45, 64, 71 and 90. If he gets 90 against Man City then that'll be reassuring. Otherwise Semenyo, who as a reminder is only on 7 fewer points than Clive without penalties this season, he's at least trusted for 85 to 90 minutes every game. It's quite impressive when you think about it that they're almost on the same points in the context of Clive having scored 6 penalties this season. That's worth, 30 points alone plus bonus? I'm sure a couple of those were Semenyo assists for winning it, of course. Are any of you looking at Bournemouth midfielders this week? And if so, which one? They're in that perfect price point as well as a potential Sa replacement if you've got him. Bowen's been too consistent to ignore recently. He's returned in 5 games in a row now, for only the second time in his career, including goals in the last 3 games. He's on 22 returns this season, and over the last 4 seasons he's averaged 22 as well. 5.4 points for him this week places him pretty close to the likes of Kluivert, Semenyo and Mbeumo, and he's got Ipswich in Gameweek 38. A bit pricier of course, he's 7.8 mil, but he is worth consideration if you can get there. So lastly, does Saka start in Gameweek 38 then? Champions League is secured, second place basically all but secured as well. It's not an absolute guarantee, but Arteta does have that track record of playing Saka basically whenever possible, even when it's not required. He is one of the highest upside players in Gameweek 38 though, given his low ownership and really high potential, so he is worth considering if you can get there, especially if you're chasing a mini league leader or rank. You know, De Bruyne to Saka could be the sort of move to consider there. Onto the forwards next, and it's Evan Nilsson top, 6.2 points for him. So let's talk about Gameweek 38 hits. Is it worth going for someone like Evan Nilsson? The problem with the final Gameweek hit is you literally have that one game to get those points back, whereas let's say Evan Nilsson had Leicester home in Gameweek 20 instead, with some nice fixtures to follow that. You've got plenty of time to get that hit back. Like, a hit doesn't have to be repaid the week that you make that transfer for it to be considered a success. You know, like when Cons had a double game week, some people took a hit for him and he did terribly, but then he gets, 15 points last game week? Whereas anyway, in Game Week 38, the hit does have to be repaid that week. I think that's maybe a trap we can fall into, like saying to ourselves, oh, I really shouldn't have done that, but you have to look longer term as well with hits. But yeah, not in Game Week 38. I mean, if you have got some big issues like, you know, Mateta versus Liverpool, or let's say Isak's ruled out and you can buy Saka and Evan Nilsson from -4, then yeah, I mean, that's got the chance of being repaid for sure. I wouldn't recommend it still, but it does have potential. Wissa and Watkins are joint second this week on 5 projected points. You're in great shape if Evan Nilsson, Wissa and Watkins is your front 3. Brighton are away to Spurs in Game Week 38, so we've got João Pedro up there as well. Spurs will either be celebrating the Europa League final win in the days before that, or they'll be in full depression, season over mode. I mean, the same is true for Man United of course, which is who Watkins is facing. What's the latest on Isak then? Will he play in Game Week 38? It's such a great fixture as well, home to Everton. Obviously not in the Newcastle squad for what was a big game against Arsenal. When asked if Isak would be available for the Everton game, Howe said the following: I don't know the answer to that question. It's far too early to make an assessment on whether he'll make it or not. I think he's got a chance, but I don't know any more than that really. And he also said, yeah, he had a scan this morning. I think he's had a little bit of stiffness last night after travelling down. The only thing really, during training, I had the scan and it showed some swelling, so we took him out of the game and we hope we get him back next week. Haaland is on 4.9 points, not worth selling him, besides for Evan Nilsson perhaps. It's been a strange season for Haaland, hasn't it? Like, who remembers at the start of the season, I think it was 10 goals in the first 5 games, and we were all saying at the time, I should have been 16 mil, not 15 mil. He was almost in every team at the time, but then the goals completely dried up. How much do you reckon they price Haaland next season? Which players get the biggest price increases and who get the biggest drops? I wouldn't be surprised if Haaland's maybe 13 mil next season. And Mbeumo probably gets the biggest price rise, something like 9 mil for him. I guess Wood will get a big price rise as well, probably looking at 8 mil for Wood in 25-26. Finishing up with a very quick look at the forwards then, and there's some great fixtures for managers this week, whether you're looking to play it safe or chase the table bonus. Wolves have got Brentford home, which is a table bonus game for them, so Pereira's top, 8.9 points he's on. And then you've got Areola, Howe and Arteta, the banker picks, who in theory should all win. They should score a couple of goals, and a potential clean sheet point as well there. Let us know in the comments who you're planning to buy this week, and thanks for watching as always. See you soon for the next one.